Welcome to Small Business Saturdays video series with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Aaron Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy Small Business Saturdays to all of you out there. Exciting day here on Small Business Saturday. I get to welcome in my friend Nathan Leber, and we're going to talk accounting today and some accounting tips. Now, here's the first thing I need to make sure we get out of the way before I bring Nathan in here is neither of us are accountants, okay? There's not an accountant in the room as far as I know. Maybe we've got some folks checking in that may have that. But we're going to talk about what Nate does, how he has managed his business, some of the strategies, some of the things that he's gone through to kind of get to a point where the accounting for his company is managed. So, we're going to cover a lot of ground. Both Nathan and I are huge in the culture side of things, so I'm sure we'll steer that way some. It's going to be a great conversation. So whatever questions you guys have for us, just start throwing them out there, and we'll try to cover as much as we can, and I'll try to steal as much of Nathan's time this morning as we can here. So we've got Richard checking in. Good morning. And Wade, thank you so much for joining us here this morning. Yeah, so just write in the comments there, whether you're catching us on YouTube or Facebook, just put in your comments, questions, thoughts, and good morning, Todd, and good morning, Kim Johnson. All right, well, let's bring Nathan in and get this thing rolling here. 1 second, let me click the right button. There we go. Good morning, Nathan. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Got the coffee flowing and ready to roll.
Awesome. Good. Yes. You're in the Eastern time zone, if I remember correctly, right?
Yep,
because
absolutely.
I've screwed that up before. So, yeah, good. So we're not too early for you. We've got some folks over on the West Coast that are getting a pretty early start on their morning here. But we've got Barbara checking in, and my wife. Good morning, sweetie. I got you out of bed, apparently. Sorry about that. And Renee, excellent. All right, Nathan. Well, let's start off here. I guess the one question I see a lot is, at what point do I register my business? How would you answer that question? I know what my answer is, but what's your answer to that question?
Okay, let's see. My first question: what are we registering? So that's my first question.
Yeah. So a lot of times, it is that question of like, at what point do I need to register my business? And that is a great point that you're making. There is there's actually couple different things here. So maybe start off with that. What does registering your business mean to you?
So the first thing I think of with that, and I actually was just talking to a person yesterday about this. They were talking about, hey, I'm starting to have some money come in, and how do I set up an invoice, and how do I set up some billing? Because now I have a customer that's a little bit bigger. And I said, well, you filed your LLC, right? And you have your EIN number. Like, oh no, I haven't done any of that yet. So, okay, there's the first step. So to me, before you really even have any money coming in at all, get that LLC or whatever. If you want to structure it differently, most people that we probably talk to are probably forming LLCs. Get that federal EIN number. Number one, that gets your business separate from your personal finances, which is good. Number two, you start getting the tax advantages of being a business owner that way. So if, like with this guy, especially, he's already spending expenses and money to buy things because he is making a physical product. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, oh, dude, like, yeah, man, you need to get this set up because that's just your money, your tax money that's coming out that is paying to buy these things that's just literally out of your pocket. So you need to get that all registered under an LLC. So that's one level of registration. Sure. And setting that up generally means you're also going to register with your state as well, or at least I had to. Yep. So we got another number that goes with the state here in Ohio. In Ohio now, because I don't sell retail products, I don't have to have a vendor's license. Many people have to have that too, though, because you're selling a retail product to an end user. So that's another thing that within Ohio, at least, you have to have that and get that set up. So those things you pretty much want to have, from minute one, and they're not overly expensive. It helps on the legal side as far as keeping things separate. So just do that from minute one would be my opinion on that before you really have any money coming in. It protects you. It protects your money. Do that. So that's one level of registering.
Sure. Yeah. And that's kind of what my opinion is too. I mean, honestly, if you're going to be in business, your intention is to someday make a profit. Then the moment you decide that you're going to do that, do those things that you just said. Getting an EIN number is completely free. And it doesn't put you at any, disadvantage or risk, or, even if you don't make money or anything like that, so you just go to the IRS website. We can put links to all that stuff, or just ask us. And registering LLC is fairly inexpensive. I don't remember exactly how much it cost me, but it wasn't much.
I did mine. Okay. So here's a good disclaimer for everyone too.
Sure.
I am a creative person. I am not an analytical person. I'm getting pretty good at Excel spreadsheets. But once again, that's like foreign to me. Like, it's a struggle to push me into those things. So I have 2 art degrees. Like, I'm a creative thinker. I'm a visual. Give me a pretty picture. I understand that. So for that point of reference, all this can be done, even if it's not natural to you, because I'm an idiot when it comes to these kind of things. Now I've lost my train of thought.
That's okay. That's all right. Yeah. No, I mean, you were talking about how it can be done, and because I was talking about the fact that I don't remember how much it cost to get my LLC, but it wasn't prohibitive in any stretch. I mean, I don't think it was like $30 maybe.
So being that I really struggle with these things, I am willing to pay other people to get them done to ensure they get done right.
There you go.
Because I'm like, oh, it's not painting or making, so I'm not really good at it, especially at first if I don't know. So I paid a service completely to do everything of that, and it cost me about $450.
Okay.
And that was for, everything. They set up my LLC, they got my federal EIN, they set up all my state stuff, everything, and I did it all online. It took me about 45 minutes of my time. Okay. That was it. I literally had to punch in my information and tell them what I wanted the name of my company to be for them to check. That was it. So for $450 for a creative person, that was money well spent. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. All day, every day. Yeah.
So that's a really good point. Yeah. You don't, if some of this stuff seems overwhelming, a little bit scary, like, oh, I don't want to mess this up. There are definitely lots of people out there that will help or can help. Like you said, you went online. I would suggest trying to find somebody that is familiar with your state, because I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes, at least from what I've seen from folks. And when people ask me questions, it's kind of like, depending on what state you're in, it's going to be different. Yeah. So finding somebody that is familiar with the rules of your state is good. And if you have got an accountant, or of an accountant, they'll point you towards somebody if it's not a service that they do themselves. So I don't think that's again, it's not, if your intention is to be in business and to make money, then there's really no reason you shouldn't do any of this stuff. In fact, like you said, doing it before any of this stuff happens is even easier, because what I found is I actually did mine a little late in the process. I was just doing everything as a Schedule C. So those of you familiar with doing taxes, Schedule C is just through your personal. And I ended up doing it kind of mid-year, and it was a huge pain in the butt, because I had to figure out, okay, what was before, what was after. So the sooner you do it, I think the better off you're going to be.
I think it's that way with everything on all the level of taxes or anything. The sooner you do it, the better. And it is painful, because number one, you don't like seeing how much money you're going to be paying to someone else. and number two, like I said, because I am creative, and probably most people are within the industries we deal with the most, it's not easy or necessarily fun, but it's a lot easier than it is trying to backtrack and do it later on. Doing it later on is miserable. I mean, now you're talking forensics, trying to backtrack and figure out what you did where and where that email is and where you left that receipt. And it is miserable going the opposite. So just do it up front, get it organized, and your life will be much better.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. That the forensics, I like that. The forensics of trying to figure it out after the fact. Yeah, and I've been there. It is a nightmare. So,
yeah. Large CPA firms literally have people on staff. They call their title is a forensic auditor, because they are literally going back through massive amounts and piecing together what that is. And those people charge crazy bucks. So you don't want to have to hire one of them to come in and do that for you.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. Agreed. All right. Cheryl, good morning. And Sandy, good morning. Cool. So those of you listening in and tuning in live here this morning, let us know what questions you guys have. Nate and I got kind of a list of some things that we want to cover, but boy, I think we're pretty open, aren't we, Nate?
Oh yeah. Wide open.
Cool. All right. Well, let's. So you brought up the state stuff, and you actually brought up a little bit about retail license and stuff like that. Let's see if we can cover some of that. I think we've seen, in fact, in one of the boards that I think started this conversation for us, we've seen some people have some challenges with sales tax and whatnot. What's your take on that? They'll never find me, or I'm too small to worry about sales tax. I think that's kind of bad idea, don't you?
My take on that is, yeah, maybe you'll get away with it, maybe, but if you don't, it's going to hurt significantly more later on. Whatever they take from you is going to be that money. Generally, it's plus interest. Generally, it's plus penalties or fines on top of it. So you're going to pay way later on if you don't get that taken care of up front. So don't kick that can down the road as far as getting that stuff set up and just rolling on it right away, because it's not going to get easier later on.
Yeah. And again, it's the same kind of thing where it seems a little, I don't know, scary, seems a little overwhelming. It seems a little much at first, but it really isn't that challenging. I mean, honestly, when you're looking at this stuff, the state, that's how they make their income. So They are going to be as helpful as they can be if you're trying to figure it out. And they're going to try to make it easy, because it's just like you and your customers. You want to make it easy for them to give you money. Well, the states want to make it easy for you to give them money. So what are some of your thoughts there? Is just do it, obviously, is probably the way to go.
And get really involved. Now, I will give people this much so once again, I'm in Ohio, so I only really know how Ohio works on this stuff. We have a website called the Ohio Business Gateway. That is for your state level sales tax. It is a miserably ran website. I saw another person commenting on that. It is a miserable website. It is very poorly put together. Boy, it is rough. Not gonna lie. You do just have to dive in, get your account set up the first time. The bad part about ours specifically is your passwords and stuff have to be updated every so often, because it's a high security thing. So with us, with our state tax, we pay ours every 6 months. Well, guess what? That's the only time I log in. And when I log in, I got to update, start all that stuff over again. So I only log in twice a year. It's really miserable. You don't do it enough that you really remember. What I have found, though, is even though the website is miserable, if you call in, you get put on hold for a little while, whatever. But when you get to that person, they're really helpful. And they can do just about everything over the phone for you. And they are, like you said, this is the state. This is the way they make money. They're really good. They're really nice. They're really helpful. They're really friendly. And they'll take care of you, and they can do most of it on the phone. And that is significantly better, at least in my state, than our website. Our website it's atrocious.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, the same in Missouri here, the website's not great. So you do have to realize it is a government organization, and they're not known for their forward thinking and their, being up on web design and whatnot. Now, I'm sure there's some exceptions to the rules, but like you said, give them a call. And, we had that same experience. We couldn't get anything to kind of work out on the website, and the passwords weren't working, and this wasn't working. We ended up talking to somebody, and they're like, oh yeah, you've got to use like this old version of Internet Explorer. And you're like, whoa. Okay. And they're like, but you know what? I can just help you over the phone. It's like, great. Perfect.
There's a lot of nuances to it. And I mean, start building as you go through this the first time, especially. I should have done this and didn't. And unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way. Start building. It could be digital or literally in a notepad. I know Terry on your other show loves that yellow legal pad.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. But start almost like taking notes when you're doing this and go, here's my password. Here's what it is. We had to log into this using this browser or this link and go to this page. Like, start writing yourself a little map of it the first time. That way, when you have to go back, it's not nearly as bad, you hope. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a bit cumbersome, but you just got to get through it.
Yeah. And like you said, it's only twice a year,
right.
and which can be a pain, but it's also, then again, it's only twice a year if you document it. I love the idea about documenting your process is basically all you're doing, which you should be doing in your business across the board
right.
anyways. For here in Missouri, depending on how much you're doing, it's only annually. So again, a lot of states, it is going to vary a little bit. And you just have to understand what the rules are there. Like I said, call the state. Barbara had a good point here. And if you don't have records, they just estimate and you have to pay what they say. Again, right. Very good reason to kind of get this started early and just have some records. Nate, I know a lot of people are like you in this sense where they are creatives. That's why we're in this business, and so a lot of times, like you said, creatives don't really get all that excited about spreadsheets and other stuff like that. And Cheryl says absolutely true. Best to hire a CPA and let them do it all. That's what I do. I know that those expenses are there. You mentioned spending about $450 to get yours going. Think about that as an investment, though.
Right.
What could your time be worth to you, and that agony and that potential pain? So
for me, 45 minutes and $450 was nothing.
Yeah.
Boy, that comment got me a little thought there about hiring the CPA. So I'll tell my story of what went down to that and how I got to the guy I'm with now.
Okay, good.
Because it wasn't good. So I was kind of that mindset. I want to hire the best and just have them do it. So I actually went to about 3 or 4 different people, and I actually kind of interviewed them before I ever picked who I wanted to use. And we went to a guy that was very highly recommended as far as their company, and it was a big company. And we went in, and they put me with a secretary first, and I had to go through her, and then I had to go to the assistant. Then finally I got to the CPA, and he talked to me about 5 minutes, and they turned me back over to his assistant. And I was out the door. And this was my first year in business. So I just thought that must be the way it is. I just don't know. So we did everything we were asked. Once again, it's our first year. So I didn't really know exactly what the process looked like. I had an idea, filled out all the forms they told me to fill out. Okay, we're great. We paid him what I thought at the time was a fairly high amount of money to do this service. And I was like, whatever, once again, cost to play. It is what it is. Next thing you know, I'm getting an email from him the day before taxes are due. Hey, we actually need some more information. Went back, I reviewed what I sent him, and I said, hey, if you look back, this very first thing, you have all that. Oh, he's like, that's right. It's my fault. I'll get this filed. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Cool. It's filed. It's done. Awesome. Okay, I can't remember exactly how long it was after that. I want to say about 2 months or so, long enough for the state to catch up.
Yeah.
I get this email notification. Actually, no, it was a physical letter in the mail, which when you see that little stamp on there of who that's from, that's always a real exciting moment. And I was like, what is this? Opened it up. Yeah, you didn't file your stuff on time, so you have a $700 and some fee. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, what? In first year in business, $700. You're like,
yeah,
oh my goodness. And I'm just like, what did we pay this guy for? Because we paid him way more than that anyhow. And I'm just like, So I'm calling him, trying to get through to him. I can't get through to him. Of course, I got to go through his assistant and the intern and everything else. I never even actually got to talk to him one-on-one. It was really frustrating. And then I finally called back into the Ohio. I tried to get back in the portal. It sucked as usual. And I called back in and I said, okay, apparently we've made this mistake. I want all the legal stuff and the fines. I want it to go away. What do I got to do to make it right? And the guy got on and he just says, okay, look, yeah, you were late. It's not that much. He's like, really, we're only going to charge you a $70 penalty. He's like, we put that in there to kind of scare people. He's like, and yeah, we have every right to charge that much if we deem it necessary. He's like, but we just put that in there because it gets most people to paying, because most people just won't. They'll ignore our letters if we only say it's a $70 fine.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. Got it taken care of. Lesson learned. Get more involved. Follow up with your CPAs. So that should have been a red flag to me. So I ended up going to a different guy. The guy I use now is actually not a CPA. He is just an accountant and a bookkeeper. So from an education standpoint, he's a big notch lower. But we walk in, he's right here in my town. So he understands my town and regional sales tax. He understands my state sales tax. We get to walk in and actually talk to him. He's never rushing me. It's always take as much time as you want. I don't have to talk to the assistant. It's if you have questions later, call me back or send me an email and he gets back to it. So that's my opinion. Find that person for you. Find someone who gives you the time of day. They may be a CPA that, from wherever you live, from that standpoint, they may be really highly regarded and they may work with the Fortune 500 companies in your area, but they may not really care that much about a little guy. And that's not, I'm not like trying to talk bad about them or whatever. There's different levels, I should say, of accounting and bookkeeping for different types of businesses. And we even have some around here, I don't know about you, that are so like niched down. I have one I know in the area, like they specifically do accounting and bookkeeping for dentists. Yep. And like that's their whole thing. So try and find someone that fits you. And for me, that process, now that I've found that person, much easier. Nothing's ever been filed late. I don't get that miserable letter in the mail anymore. So find that person and get involved personally yourself too. Follow up with them. Follow up before the deadlines. If they haven't gotten back to you and are saying, yeah, this is good, we got it in, follow up with them. It's your taxes, not theirs. So
and you know, as a CPA, actually, that first people were actually liable for that fine. The way that I understand the tax laws, but regardless, I think your point is really, really, really valid, because we do think that accounting is one of those things where it's just like this one big silo, and it's certainly not. Like I said, you've got the CPAs that are dealing with a different level of things. Everybody, I think a lot of people that listen to this know that my dad was a CPA for 25 years, and so that's who I get to lean on. And he's told me the same thing. It's like, for your regular, bookkeeping, the kind of sales tax, that stuff, you don't need to have a high-end CPA. That's somebody that's just going to review the tax return and help you with that particular part of it. Or if you're having a specific issue with the IRS or something like that, that's where a CPA might come into play. But a much smaller billable hour person that's just a regular accountant or a bookkeeper. And I love your point about finding somebody in a niche. I was talking to somebody the other day, and all they do is work with designers, so they're up on service kinds of tax things, and so they're doing that. And like I said, somebody working with dentists or whatever, and so the niches can be a bunch of different things. I think your point about finding somebody that knows your local area is really good too. So excellent points.
We have a lot of, I don't know, once again, how you are. So I'm in the Columbus market, but I'm in Grove City, which is the southwestern suburb. And I've lived throughout, I don't know, the last 15 years or so in different ones. Each suburb for us has different taxes as well, and different ways to go through that for the city. So like finding the guy right here that's in my little town that helped a lot because he knew exactly what that process was for here and was able to set that up. Once again, I don't know what you guys use. Ohio, and maybe this is a national thing, I just don't know. You can either, for us with city taxes, you either pay into the city and like they have their own little kind of office or segment that they'll tell you how much you owe and you got to file with them. Or what we have is, it's called RETA. It's Regional Income Tax. I don't know what it stands for. It's a big association that basically takes on all these little municipalities. Yeah. That's what we use here and that's what we pay into. But he was really helpful and was able to tell me that because where I had lived previously, we did pay indirectly to the city. So I had to file with actually the mayor's office there. And now here I pay into this big thing, RETA, and pay into that. And with that, there is a nuance to every single one of these. So my state sales tax is every 6 months. My city sales tax, that is every quarter. And that can be set up as estimated payments too.
Sure. Yeah. And like I said, I think it does vary. You know, I know here in Missouri, the state does manage all of that. And then, you know, so yes, you tell them where you're at and where you're located, and then they'll take their percentage and then they'll give the percentage that the city requires back to the city. And, you know, in Arizona, I think, if I remember right now, this was many years ago, so it all could be changed now. But from what I remember, it was the opposite of that, where you paid your city and you paid your state separately. And so, I think that's a really good point to just, you know, find somebody that that understands those things, and that person that's in the same city as you is probably going to give you the best opportunity to know that. So
a trick I had to learn with working from these people. So when I'm actually billing, if I do have to charge sales tax is, and once again, I didn't know this, and because it's split up, it made it a little bit harder to learn. So like in Ohio, we have a rate of sales tax, which every state does for the most part. Ours is 6.75%. Now, like where my parents live, where I grew up at, is a very rural area. There is like no additional tax added on to that. They live out there. But where I live is in Franklin County, which is where Columbus is. They have an additional sales tax on top of that. And that takes it up to 7.5%. So that's something else to kind of, and you can Google that, find that out about your area. That stuff's not hard to find, but is something to keep in mind or think about when, especially when you're first setting up these things, to make sure you're charging the right sales tax rate too. And maybe not charging, you know, like initially I thought, 6.75, that's what it is. Well, really, I should have been charging that extra 3/4 more and just didn't know it. So that's another thing to kind of look up too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, look that up. Like I said, you can Google that. There's, you know, rate tables. But if you're working, you know, hopefully most people are getting the fact that you probably do want to be working with somebody at a certain level. Again, it doesn't have to be a CPA that you're, you know, getting billed, you know, a couple $100 an hour or whatever their rates are. I mean, it can be as simple as a normal bookkeeper that's charging, you know, the rates are very reasonable when you get down into the people just kind of helping with the bookkeeping. I mean, heck, I don't necessarily recommend this, but if you really wanted to, you could go find somebody on Fiverr, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm sure you could.
I don't know how well that would work, but
it might be, you might get what you pay for. What we do, or I do, and so far it has served me well. It doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. For my actual accounting myself, I use QuickBooks Online, which you can plug in all those like rates and your state sales taxes and all those things, and it'll calculate it for you, and it'll actually even tabulate up like what your tax penalties are. So when I go into my state sales tax to pay it every 6 months, I can pull up the report in there and it tells me what was taxed, what wasn't taxed, and I can actually just export that out of QuickBooks and load it right up online into the Ohio Business Portal, and it'll load it all up for me, and it has my penalties or they call it a penalty, but your tax assessment in with it. It sounds really bad calling it a penalty, but that is what they call it. So that's what I use for like all my day to day. I just use QuickBooks Online, and I know there's FreshBooks, and there's a ton of accounting softwares. Now for me, because I'm not like a big company, we don't have that many transactions going on. It's pretty easy with a software for me to keep track of it. You may need to hire a bookkeeper for whatever you're doing. But what I do then, so I have my local bookkeeper that then he does my taxes and looks over everything at the end of the year. And then he does file all my taxes and everything for me. And he sets me up in the next year with my estimated payments. He tells me what they're going to be and everything too, based off projections. But one thing I do, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously you have some family in these things that would know if it's right or wrong. From what people have often told me about whoever your financial advisors are, your tax person, in fact, my guy does this now because he is not a CPA. I'll ask him, I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And he's like, I can't advise you on that. Yeah. He basically goes, these are your options. You tell me. It is what it is. So what I have, I pay him. He picks what he thinks is probably covers us both the best. But what I have is another person that we're getting right around to that time of the year. She is a CPA and she works for some very large companies. She does not do my bookkeeping. She does not file my taxes. She does not do anything. I literally pay her a consulting fee to once a year. She's going to look over my books about, 2/3 to 3/4 of the way through the year and really look at them and say, what's this? You categorize this wrong. This doesn't make sense, whatever. But then she can take in all of that and then give me an actual strategy or really give me her opinion on, hey, you're going to owe a lot of money in this area from this or whatever. You need to dump X amount of cash or whatever it may be. You need to buy something. This would be a great year to make a big purchase on a piece of equipment because of where you're sitting this time of the year. And she's really awesome. I literally hire her in just as that, a third-party advisor. So she has no skin in the game. She has, I'm not actually paying her to do my taxes. She can be very honest and open with me and give me a real opinion of what she thinks is best.
Yeah. And that is, I think that's actually a really great strategy. And in a lot of ways, that's kind of what I do with my dad. I just don't pay him, but, it does become that. And he's actually mentioned that to me that, again, like I said, there's different levels of this. So, you're doing your bookkeeping through QuickBooks. I do a lot of that the same. I've gotten to a point where I was spending so much time on QuickBooks that I'm actually transitioning to another company just doing all that for me. Awesome. I don't know. We'll see. Again, we'll see how that goes. It did take the one part about when I was doing it with QuickBooks is that if I used this credit card, then I could categorize this way or this way or this way. Now, when I'm having somebody else do it, I have to be super anal about, okay, if this expense is for this part of my business or this part of my business, I have to use this credit card. Otherwise, the bookkeeper won't know where to categorize that kind of thing. Right. So anyhow, they kind of divide all that up. But also, like you said, having somebody that understands tax strategy, understands the tax laws, to just review things for you and go, yep, okay, this, maybe switch this, change that, give you that strategy. I think that's huge because you and I were, before we started, we're talking about the fact that a year like this year, how the heck do you even know what's going to happen? Yeah. And so, in 2019, you could have been going, okay, well, I'm going to be here. So my estimated taxes were needed to be here or whatever. This year, you definitely need somebody to go, okay, let's change gears a little bit because all these things, happened kind of thing. So,
and from what I understand with this year too, I want to say this in a positive light and not make it maybe sound like a negative. But with a lot of the PPP loans and EIDL and all that stuff coming out, number one, from a bookkeeping standpoint, if you haven't dealt with those kind of loans and stuff yet, okay, get somebody to help you with that, because where do you categorize that and where does that go?
Sure.
But then after that, I would expect there's going to be a lot of audits.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've just heard that from one advisor that expect there to be a lot of audits from people who took these different loans, because the government's going to want to check in on you and make sure you spent that appropriately.
Yep.
So this is definitely a year to have your bookkeeping straight. That's for sure. Especially if you took those things, make sure you got it good and you can show exactly where those expenditures were made and on what. And your life will be much better.
Yeah. And I think the real point here for sure is better to be safe than sorry. I do think from a small business perspective, we won't see it as much as is kind of some of those middle because a lot of the programs were meant to try to save as many small businesses as possible. So if your business is small, they're probably not going to give you too much of a hard time. But if you're in that medium to large size business and you were taking these loans and then you were buying vacation homes and going out and hitting the strip club or whatever, they want to catch those folks. So you're exactly right. I think there will be more of that. But if you did the right things and you're keeping your books straight, it shouldn't be a big deal at all. So let me hit a couple of comments here, Nate, before we get on to the next topic. One that when we were talking about the passwords and stuff, I wanted to put this out there because I love this program too. It's called Lastpass, and it keeps track of your passwords for you. I use that. I don't know if you've ever used that, or OnePass is another one that's out there. It's a really good program worth looking into. And they've got a free version that you can totally use. And that nightmare of trying to keep track of all these passwords was a real challenge for me. So when I found that, it changed my life. Cheryl said, I totally agree with Nathan. No matter who it is that is doing your accounting, you need to stay on top of your business. I think you made that point really well, Nate, is that this is your business, at the end of the day. So, and then Margaret has used this for many years, so I'm assuming that means QuickBooks. And I agree, Nate. I think that keeping up with that and just managing your business through that's a great place to start. Like I said, there's others out there, FreshBooks and whatnot. The other part that I like about QuickBooks, though, is that a lot of times you can find bookkeepers and stuff like and people that they understand QuickBooks. So it's, they're going to be able to, log in and just check things out for you. And in fact, the version that I use, and I do get it through a lady that's an accountant friend of my dad. So I don't know if this is like for all of the QuickBooks online. I think it probably is, but I can actually put something into a category that says Ask Accountant. And then every once in a while she logs in and fixes it for me. So
that's in all of them. And like with all QuickBooks, and I'm sure it is with the others, you can, I'm a millennial. I like stuff electronic. I don't like to actually have to go somewhere or do anything, but you can have it set up so your accountant has a login too. So all I got to do, my guy's name is John. I just shoot him an email if I have a question or whatever, go, John, can you look into this and check this transaction or whatever and tell me if I manage that right. So it's just as simple as that too. Like I don't have to actually take paper statements into him or actually go down to his office or anything like that. It's all linked up if you use a program like that.
Yeah. And the nice part about the accountant login is you're still protected. They can't, they're not in there, going to your bank accounts and all this other stuff. It's they can see what they need to see and that's it. So, and then Barb's got a good question here, Nate. Does QuickBooks have an inventory tab?
I'm pretty sure, don't quote me, I'm pretty sure it does, but I have never used it because we don't use it for our workflow management.
Gotcha. So the answer to that is it does. You have to have the right version of it. I had to upgrade mine when I started to manage inventory in it. So you just have to make sure you have the right version of it. I will look that up once we're done here to get you the exact right version, Barb, and go. I'll post that in the comments there. So it is a, like Nate said, you can use it for that flow, but you may find other things that work better. So how do you manage your inventory, Nate?
We have our own internal systems set up. Most of them are using G Suite, which the more I've gotten into that, holy cow. Google gives you a lot of really high level stuff for free. It is, if you are smart enough to understand how to program it and set it up, it is incredible. So in fact, I've just worked on it more yesterday. We keep, as we learn more, and my guys come to me and go, hey, it'd be cool if we could do this or that. I dive into it even more and figure out a way to make that happen, whereas the customers need things changed. So we practically keep everything now in G Suite, Google Drive, that kind of stuff, which is awesome because it's all cloud-based, so all the employees can see it from home or anywhere all the time.
Cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you got spreadsheets and you kind of like connecting through Zapier or something like that and kind of getting things to talk, or how does that work?
There are tons of, what do they call them in there? They're applications or add-ons you can get within that. I mean, and some of them are paid and some of them aren't, but you can do just about everything now through that. Like, we have an entire workflow system set up, and it keeps evolving as our needs change, but it's all color coded and has different tabs of showing all the information of a customer coming in, what the job is, what inventory counts are, all those things. And then it's all color coded to what the status of the job too. And we have it set up now to where we even have it set up with Google Forms. So like our contract printers, when they place an order now, they just fill out a form and it automatically populates in there.
Oh, wow.
And then they get an email now back to them that confirms they get, and it's all automated, confirms that back to them, also confirms what they sent over. So like I had one person that was like, I forgot what I sent you. Did I do this? All right, there's the email back to them saying, hey, here's what you sent. And that connects the art files, that connects the mockups, that connects size breakdown, everything. And we don't actually have to do anything.
That's so awesome. Good, man. That's amazing. Good stuff. Okay, so let's keep moving here because we've already spent 40 minutes and I think we've covered a couple, which I love about chatting with you. I think we covered the strategies for finding the right CPA accountant, that kind of stuff. I believe we covered that, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about the types and levels of taxes. Break that down for folks from your vantage point.
So I'm going to stay specifically in the LLC mode because you tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the majority of people are going to be LLC here.
I agree. Yep.
So you have just that. You have federal taxes, which from an LLC standpoint is pretty much nothing or not there. On the business level, it's nothing major to think about.
Yep.
Then you have state taxes. The state wants their sales tax and their cut of it from your business. And then you have your regional, which is what we talked about already too, that comes from your business. Now, here is where I've heard the horror stories in previously, especially new biz, is on personal taxes at the federal level.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you own the business. It doesn't matter anything. If you pay yourself anywhere, even if you're not coming from if you're not an employee anymore, it doesn't matter. If you take in money, you got to pay that to the government. You got to pay federal withholding. You got to pay Social Security. You got to pay all that. And so where people go wrong on that is they pay themselves and they don't set anything aside. And then at the end of their first year, they get hammered. You go and get your taxes done or whatever, and they go, well, you made this much money. Okay. And they go, well, how much did you pay in? And sometimes people are going, nothing. Uh-oh, you're going to have to pay that. So I can tell, once again, I'll freely share what I do. This doesn't mean it's the right way, but it works for me. I have my accountant now has me set up because he has a couple years of history too. That helps. After your first year of business, it helps your accountant with history to know like what you are going to pay in because he has a grasp of what you're earning. Generally, they will set up quarterly payments for you, estimated quarterly payments. And so you got to sign into the IRS website and pay that. And that is actually pretty easy. That website's, I don't know what your opinion of it is, but mine's always, it's pretty streamlined. It's not bad to do that. That's
every year I just set mine up to automatically be paid. So I think it's certainly not the ease of use kind of thing that you might see from a normal website, but once you're in it and you're there, I don't think it's you're
that
right.
one's not terrible. So I'm in my 4th year of business. So there's still some fluctuation and we're still growing a lot. So my accountant's numbers aren't always right.
Yeah.
As far as that. So I've asked him and talked to that CPA and said, hey, around what percentage, or give me an estimate of what percentage really should I be taxed at, or will I be taxed at?
Mm-hmm.
So they've given me a number so I can kind of deduce for myself with what I've taken out, what that is.
Sure.
So every time I pay myself, before I even do anything with that money, I take that percentage out and I have a totally other savings account at another bank, not even in my personal banking, totally other place. And I put that money there. And it is, for whatever it's worth in 2020, a high interest savings account.
Sure.
So I do, even with that money that's sitting over there, I'm earning a little bit off of it. It's still not completely sitting there stagnant. So for 3 months, I do earn some money off of that too. And then I go in at the end of the quarter then and actually pay in my federal withholding. But that keeps me safe and keeps that all sitting aside. That way there's never that, oh crap moment of, I didn't account for this. I took it out. I spent it. It's gone. And now here I am owing a ton of money, because that's a bit miserable at the end of the year, knowing you may owe thousands and thousands of dollars and all of a sudden you didn't have it because you didn't realize it, and it's gone. So that's what I do. It doesn't mean it's the right way, but that's what I do, and it works for me.
Yeah. It sounds pretty darn good to me. Because here's, again, coming from family and growing up with my dad basically being gone from December to April every year, being a CPA, he's seen a lot of these things. And what he always told me is that, people kind of get in that, okay, I'm a W-2 employee mentality,
right.
And they're paying in, and he was always kind of like really down on the folks that like were getting big chunks of money back, because, everybody's like, oh, it's great, I got my tax return back and now I'm going to go buy the new car or whatever. It's like, you could have had that money in your own bank account earning interest, like you're talking about, that whole year. So really the winners at tax returns are the people who pay zero, when it comes out even at the end of the year. And so you got to take that same mentality of trying to get to zero when you switch over to having your own business, where you're having to pay estimated taxes. And because I think most people don't realize that when you get your paycheck from your normal job, they're taking taxes out. Well, if you're getting paid from your company, you got to take your own taxes out, so to speak, in the form of estimated taxes. And if you don't pay those estimated taxes throughout the year, even if you have the money to pay in at the end of the year, you are going to get penalized, because you are supposed to make those estimated tax payments each quarter. So if you didn't make it in the first quarter, there will be a penalty for that. You didn't make it in the second, blah, blah, blah. So anyhow, but I love your idea about allowing that money to continue to quote unquote work for you. You're putting it into a savings account. So, and that's the whole point. If you can owe zero at the end of the year, you've done it just right.
Right.
Because you've kept that money, and if you're keeping that money and making money off of it, that's even better. So, I love it. High five. Good job.
The way I always understood or is explained to me, if you get a big return back, you've given the government a loan on that money for that year. And as an entrepreneur, you're probably very good at making more money out of any resource you're given, whether it's an actual product, equipment, more money, whatever it may be. So you want to keep as many of those resources as possible for you, because you're good at making more out of something. Right. So that's the way I've always thought. Yeah, you want to come out at zero. I don't want to owe anything. I don't really want to get anything back either. And if I've done that or I'm pretty close, I've won for the year. Another thing to keep in mind a little bit in the last, I can't remember now how many years, 5 years or so, as a business owner, you may get your health insurance through the portal.
Yep.
Is that what you can call more the portal? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, something like that. I think you're right.
I think that's what that's called. The marketplace. That's sort of through the marketplace, because you probably don't have a company big enough to actually get into any kind of preferred or group thing. And that's your best option as far as health insurance. You've got to keep in mind whatever that when you went into the marketplace that first time, you had to put an estimated of what you thought you were going to make that year. And that's where they get that price for your health insurance at. It's all individually based and quoted to you based off of what you estimated your income was going to be. So if you made a lot more money that year, you got to keep that in mind a little bit too. And once again, talk with a CPA or an accountant to go, hey, I'm making a lot more than I thought I was. Should I be setting aside some money? Because you'll get penalized on that too. That is another thing. At the end of the year, if you made way more than what you thought you were going to, they will penalize you then and get back. They're going to charge you back that amount that you should have been paying for your health insurance, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's a good point.
A little pitfall that you can trip over pretty quickly. And unfortunately, I did one time. And it wasn't fun. So
yeah, exactly. And I think that, again, like you said, I love the idea that, let's keep our resources to ourselves, but realizing that, yes, we do have to make sure that we're paying our estimated taxes. We have to understand that if we're getting our health insurance from the marketplace. So there are some things. So there is a good reason to have a relationship with, again, it doesn't have to be a CPA. It could be a CPA in the situation like you have, where it's just hey, I just need some, advice once a year. And they can share that with you and do that stuff. So in fact, Becky says, my husband pays in a ton of taxes, so I don't pay in quarterly. He makes the money. I have the write-offs, but this is something we discuss with our accountant yearly based on year-end numbers. The important thing is keeping good records and having an accountant you can trust and know what they're doing.
Yep.
I think that's, totally hits the nail on the head. And again, you can go from, having a W-2 or you're getting that taxes taking out automatically, or in a situation where you've got somebody in the family that's making money from a W-2. I had that with my wife, where I was not and she was, and so juggling that because we knew that we were going to take it there. And then with the business, like you said, as soon as you're able to have that business set up, you can start writing off the things that are involved with the expenses in your business. So I actually had a situation where when I first got into the consulting gig, I had an opportunity to take on that consulting gig as an actual job and get paid as a W-2. And I chose not to, from the tax situation of it. I needed to be able to, because I wasn't going to be able to make as much money as I was making before. So I needed to be able to take some of these things like your car expenses, using an office in the home, all those things. I needed to be able to take those. So it ended up as a better tax situation for me to just be a 1099 person. So
right. And everybody's a little different on that. And you have to know that's why you got to get that advisor to tell you what's best for your situation. That comment she made about the bookkeeping, making sure you keep good bookkeeping, that for me is why I like QuickBooks Online. It forces my creative art major brain. It literally, I have to categorize every transaction. Have to. Like, it forces you to within there. So I have to do it no matter what. It makes me put it somewhere and categorize what each transaction is. And it also has, which I really like, once again, I'm a millennial. I like easy. I have the app on my phone.
Good. I was just going to ask that.
When I have a receipt and I see that transaction, boom, pull that up. It captures that and saves that photo of that receipt. So I don't actually have to have the physical box of receipts. Now, I do have that too, but with those transactions in QuickBooks, you can either use the app on your phone with a physical receipt, capture that photo, or if you're using it on the desktop version, like, so say my wholesale apparel, everything we do with them is online. They send me, it's all an online invoice. They don't actually send me an in the paper invoice in the mail. I can just take that PDF they send and upload that to that transaction too on QuickBooks. So it's all there. It's all linked.
Yeah, I love that too. Yeah, like I said, the app is fantastic. You know, because I know that some people do. I actually have gotten to the point where I feel confident enough in QuickBooks that I take a picture of the receipt and I pretty much throw it away. So I'm not just, or if I can skip the receipt and have it emailed to me, like you said, you can just link right in there. I do that a lot too. The other part I like about the app, I was actually paying for another service called Miles IQ, but have stopped doing that and now use the QuickBooks app to keep track of the miles that I can gain some tax savings from. Whenever I go to a consulting client's office or have to run an errand for the business, that gets written off. So, Nate, I'm not sure if I lost you on my end or if froze up on your end. Let's see if we can get you back here. Hopefully I'm not talking over the top of you right now. Let's see here. Let me bop that. See if you're back up. Looks like we may have lost Nate for just a second. All right, let me come up. Oh, yep, there we go. Thank you, Renee. Appreciate the feedback there. Wasn't sure where we're at. All right, let me just make sure I've got all the questions kind of covered. If we can get him back. Let's see here. Nate, if you're hearing this at all, if you can just, oh, there he is. Okay, got him. He's back. Welcome back. Nate, are you there? Can you hear me? Oh, looks like he froze again. All right, well, we'll see if we can. Now he's moving again. Oh, there we go. Mayra says I do manually or online QuickBooks. Cool. Good. And there we go. Got him back. Thanks for Nate. We're there. Okay. Can you hear me now? Must be having some, I don't know if that's on, hopefully that's not on my end. Huh. All right. Well, let's see here. All right, let's do this. Let me just make sure I covered all the questions. I covered that one. What questions do you guys have? Let's get that and let's see if we can, let's try one more time here. All right. Are we back? He gets here and then it freezes up on us. So I don't know what's going on with the system here. Good old internet. Barb says, yes, indeed. Always a good time when you're doing live broadcasts on the internet. All right. Well, let's just keep moving forward. We actually have covered almost an hour here. I think we covered a lot of ground, but let me know what questions you guys have. I think we've hopefully covered a lot of things. QuickBooks is definitely something worth looking at if you're not doing that. Some sort of bookkeeping records, having a tax professional that you work with. Again, it doesn't have to be a CPA. Finding somebody that knows your local area. Those are some of the tips there. All right, we're gonna try one last time, Nate, and see if we can do that. Let's see here. Todd says, I've seen him moving for just a second, then the government hears him talking about them and shuts him down. All right, Nate, let's try it one more time, and if not, we'll close it up. And I need to get Nate back for some other topics, anyways. So let's try it. All right, are we there? Okay, bummer. It's just moving slow. So I don't know if I wonder if I can make any changes. No, I can't change it on this side. All right, we're moving a little bit. I'll keep talking and see if we can do it. Let's see here. So Mayra says, do you recommend to give access to CPAs to review the books twice a year? I certainly do. Nate, if you're there and can hear me and can respond, feel free to chime in. At least once a year, twice a year, though, maybe just to kind of see if you're on track, especially when you're early on in the process and you don't have a whole lot of data and things aren't always as steady. So check that out. Nate, what are your thoughts there if you're hearing me?
I do once a year.
Nice. Oh, okay. He does once a year. We got that. All right. Well, we gave it a good try, and apologize for that there, Nate. I'm not sure what's happening with, if it's my software or your internet there might not be happy this morning. You said you had some storms rolling through, so check it out. And let's see here.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I do have you now. So let's try again.
We'll try. So what I do right now is once a year. That's just because I feel comfortable with that and for the size of my company. But I will probably.
All right. Well, we lost him. Apologize for that. Let me. I'm going to just move him out of here. Again, we'll get him back another time, and we can finish any thoughts that he has here, and go from there. And we'll see what happens. Blah, blah, blah. All right, so I think we got that. Cheryl says, I hope to invite everyone to the Sublimation Summit, September 9th to the 11th. If they're interested, we're happy to give a OSG discount code. Cheryl, we would love that. So if you could let us know, we'll get that out there. But if people want to check that out, sublimationsummit.com/registration-1. So check that out. I don't know how many seminars I'm teaching there, at least one, hopefully. I'm still on the list. So no, I'm not, hopefully I'm still on the list. I'm definitely excited to be part of the Sublimation Summit, and looking forward to that. And we'll go from there. Let's see here. Cheryl says she does hers quarterly. That's great. Again, keep up. Again, the goal is for taxes to end up come April 15th or whenever they happen to do it. This year was obviously different. Come April 15th to be paying zero, to not be getting anything back, or, obviously there's going to be some, but it says absolute lockdown. I must be blacklisted. I don't think you said anything negative. I thought you were really positive. So I don't know. The NSA is checking us out for some reason. And Cheryl says, yes, we are excited to have you. Yes, I'm excited to be there too. I just was teasing there for sure. So again, sublimationsummit.com, check that out. And Barb says, yes, excited too. So can't wait to have that happen September 9th through the 11th. That will be going down in virtual form. So Cheryl's been working hard to get that all converted over. Can't wait to get back to the live version in 2021 as well. So I'm looking forward to that already too. So checking that out. All right, let's wrap this up. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything that comes up specifically, again, Nate or I are not accountants or CPAs or anything of that note, but we are happy to share what we do and what we know, and then we'll again direct you to your tax professional if it gets beyond that. But if you'd like to reach out directly to me, you can do so right up here at aaron@montcoconsulting.com, or you can always send an email to our success group, which is success@oursuccessgroup.com. Speaking of our success group, we are pretty excited about what's coming up here on the docket. So if you are not a member of our success group yet, now's the time to do so. The prices are as low as they're ever going to get. And once you have your price locked in, that will be your price for as long as you are a member. And so if you want to check out that, just go over to oursuccessgroup.com/memberships and you can check that out. But the reason why I'm so excited about what's coming up here is this upcoming Wednesday, we have Jay Bissell joining us as a guest instructor, and he's going to be talking about branding beyond the logo and give us some very good specifics and a real guide into how to make sure our branding is where it needs to be, because we're coming up on what I think is going to be one of the most potentially lucrative, but also potentially difficult, not difficult in a bad way, but what has worked in the past might not work this year when it comes to the fourth quarter this year. I think we're going to be really have to have our stuff together, so to speak. And part of that is making sure your brand is right. And the message that your brand is sharing is right. And that it comes through in everything that you do on social media or, wherever it is that you're selling. So that's happening this Wednesday. And that's a perfect setup that then takes us into our final 5 keys segment of the year for the members. And that's going to be about marketing. And we're going to talk about YouTube. We're going to talk about Google AdWords. We're going to talk about Instagram and email and Facebook. And within those 5 categories, we're also going to give you a 12-week plan of some ideas, some thoughts of what you can do in all 5 of those segments for 12 weeks. Which is perfect because starting as soon as that 5 keys is over at the end of September, there are 12 weeks from the 1st of October in through the holiday season, the Christmas week there. So it is going to be a great bit of information, a lot of tools, a lot of sharing of ideas, and the OSG community is a great place to grow your business. All right. So got some great stuff here. A couple more comments before I get out of here. Let's see here. Nate says, I have the CPA review once a year currently for my comfort level and size of business. As it grows, we'll extend that, especially as complexities of expenses and taxes go. So there's a good answer to your question, Mayra, hopefully. And Tony, good morning. Thanks for checking in. All right, cool. Code is OSG25 for $25 off for OSG folks. So if you can put that code in, OSG25. And if you'll do that back at sublimationsummit.com/registration. So there's that. And Nate says, anyone can contact me directly by emailing create@leberdesign.com. That's LEBER design.com, and see all the fun art business on Instagram or Facebook at Leber Design and Print. So make sure you're checking out Nate and connect with him on Facebook and Instagram. He is a fantastic guy. I love the fact that he's just willing to share. I actually had a conversation with him not too long ago about, so what's in this for you? And not in a negative way, but just, I'm always curious about that from folks. And Nate is just one of those guys that what's in it for him is his love of sharing, his love of helping, his love of seeing other people succeed. So he and I are very kindred spirits in that regard. And so I love talking to him. So thank you so much, Nate, for being on with me this morning, and we'll get back to do it again soon, and hopefully the internet will be treating us a little bit better then. All right, guys, I think that's about it for me this morning. Let me get one more thing clicked. So if you want to go over to oursuccessgroup.com and check that out, and then one last thing to put up here before I get out of here. This is my favorite program that we do. It's oursuccessgroup.com/ST, which stands for Success Tracker. Just get over there and check it out. It's something that you want to be a part of. If you're an OSG member, it's only $1. If you're not an OSG member, it's only $20, and it will help you achieve your goals. And you can read all about it over there at oursuccessgroup.com/ST. All right. I think that's it. Have a great day. Barb, you as well. Have a great day. Thank you for being here. And I will get that QuickBooks level that you need for inventory. Like I said, I had to upgrade mine to get there. So I'll go find what that is called specifically and share that. And again, if you guys have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to talk about in future shows, just let me know. success@oursuccessgroup.com, or hit me up here, comment, smoke signal, whatever you want. I'll get back to you. And have a great rest of your Saturday.